Right now, I believe I worked it out at 191.
$1,000. Let's just
Yeah.
clarify.
Yeah.
My jaw, if anyone's watching, my jaw just like dropped to the floor a little.
To be able to buy a cup of coffee and not have to check my bank account, like $4.70 or whatever that is. That was the first turning point. And yeah, I did get emotional when I was able to do that. And what they are going to do, let's book in a session. Let's have a chat about these goals. Let's see where we can take you. It's not a would you like, but for us to actually say that this is what's going to happen and the well, outlay the process of it to see where we can take that person is what a lot of people need. It's not being rude. It's just getting into their right mindset and understanding that we are actually helping them.
I don't know if you thought you were going to be here 6 months ago, but like
Oh
you've
God, no. No.
you've done really well. So you should be really
Oh,
fucking
thank
proud
you.
of yourself.
Welcome to Swift Coaches Academy, a podcast dedicated to bringing health and wellness professionals the uncensored truth behind what it really takes to succeed in the health industry with me, your host, Xenia Wood. As an accredited exercise physiologist and business owner for almost a decade, I'm on a mission to transform the lives of ambitious health professionals like you who want more and are ready to take action to create incredible impact in your careers and unlock financial freedom in your business. So join me as I speak candidly with industry leaders about the struggles and successes from within the trenches through thought-provoking conversations.
I'm super excited for today's episode. We have another biz student, a little bit of a different story today. Jason, how are you today?
I am top of the world today. Beautiful Monday morning. Can't go wrong.
So good. I feel like we have to start with what you just said off air if you're happy to share that information.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, the ability then just asked me what we did over the weekend, and we went engagement ring shopping, and like we said, the relationship aside, that's always going to be number one. But the ability for me to drop so many thousands of dollars in one transaction like that is an absolute win for me. I've never been in that position before, and to not be stressed about it, that it's just been an epic weekend.
That I have goosebumps. I'm so happy for you for that. I feel like I feel my feelings a fair bit more than I used to, but the goosebumps, the tears in our group calls. But let's rewind for a second so people can get to know who you are and
Totally.
why we have you here today. So let's talk about who you are, what you do, where you work, and then where you were at in business and life before we started working together in our like low tier program called Grow.
Okay. Yeah, started out as a PT back in 2004. So coming on 20 years in this industry, seeing things come and go. I started, in the commercial gyms, worked my way up through management, head PT roles, national level roles, with marketing and all that sort of stuff. As life does, throws a few curveballs at us. My partner at the time, we ended up not having our contracts renewed, so we obviously did the mobile stuff for a bit. COVID put a bit of a damper on that thing, although be it from a business perspective, blessing in disguise, it forced me to sort of spend the money and create my own studio. So yeah, I've just been sort of living off that for the time being. And eventually, again, my previous partner and I went through a bit of a rough patch. We ended up separating, bit of a down area in the lineup. I ended up out of necessity more than anything having to go back to the commercial sector after something else I would never do again. But push comes to shove. Here we are, running very close to capacity at the moment, absolutely kicking goals, in a really good position.
And
What
so
else do we want to know?
Yeah. So PT, you've been around the block for ages. I was
Yeah,
like, when you said 2004, I was like doing the math and I was like, I was in primary school.
yeah. It's
Not
it's
to show your
qualified
age
before I
because you
finished grade 12. Yeah.
you look fantastic for your age, may I
Well,
just say.
you.
If anyone's watching this on YouTube. But yeah, so now we're back in a commercial gym, like just a
Yep.
rent-based model. And you kind of have had a bit of an overhaul of life and had to start again. And
Yeah.
what were you struggling with before we started working together? What were sort of the things that were happening for you?
It was like most PTs, it was very much lead gen and generating clientele, generating the income. Um, I've always had what I would consider a very safe business model as far as reliable income is concerned. I know there's a lot of coaches and trainers out there that live on a week to week and try and rebook week to week. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted the reliability. Um, and I know I'm a damn good coach, so I know my team are going to keep coming back, even if I wasn't on a fixed term. Um, so for me, yeah, it was more lead gen and just that kick up the arse that I needed to say, okay, this is what I want. And it's one of the onboarding questions that you gave me. What is the long term goal? And I said, I want a $500,000 turnover.
I remember
And
that.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, this
Um,
guy's ambitious. I love it.
well, yeah, and yeah, and that was the driving force. I want this, and again, the previous experiences. There's other reasons behind why I want, why I want what I do. But at the time being now, if it's, my partner and I have a great life together, and it's always been an ambition of mine to be able to provide for a family, provide for my partner, and hopefully soon to be wife. Um, while she doesn't have to work, I know she does want to work, and that's cool. But to give her the option of not having to, and it's that. I guess I don't know if it's outdated or if it's a bit archaic, but the whole male provider, that's kind of the stigma that I really want to strive for.
I think if it works for you and your situation, then like that's totally fine, right? Like it's different for
100%.
everyone.
Yeah.
And obviously,
We all have different driving forces there.
totally. Yeah. And I think that if that's your goal, then that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Speaking back to your journey and things like that. So struggling with lead gen, I remember that you were like struggling with client numbers and also with like how the hell do I grow this, let alone scale it.
Yeah.
Before we dive into that, I want to know like what was that? I know you were you're a pretty fast decision maker, you're an action taker, and I know that you were pretty keen to jump in, but was there any sort of nervousness or anything that maybe like reduced any nerves about signing up to the biz program?
I was terrified. But it's something that you have to do in order to progress. You have to take these calculated risks. And speaking from, I come from a referral. One of my good friends working with you, Zane, the way his business has just exploded, I basically just said, I want some of that. And I know it's a decent outlay, but now looking back, like, that's one of the best investments I could have made at the time.
And because you were not like,
no.
I'm pretty confident you were like not really in the best financial position to be like outlaying. You were already in the red zone, right?
I was running in the red. Yeah, I was, I was in the position where I've got all my direct debit set up on my phone or on my banking, where you'd separate phone bill, for example, you'd break it up into a month or quarter. I actually don't know how often they come out, but every week you'd pay off $10, $15, whatever it is. And every Thursday, Wednesday was my payday. I'd set them up for a Thursday. The direct debits, I would dread Thursdays because this direct debit didn't go through, and I would have 10, 12, 15 notifications on my phone saying various direct debits didn't go through. So it was up to me to say, okay, which one is the most outstanding at the time? Which one am I going to pay this week, this month? That's the position I was in. And running in the red, dramatically in the red.
Yeah. And so what, in that moment when you're like already don't have cash in the bank, what was it that made you go like, I need to invest in some help, and like this is the thing that I'm gonna like go for it with?
It was normally, I guess, taking a step back and looking at it objectively. What I'm doing isn't fucking working, so something has to change. And like I said, the Zane's business, it's exploded. And yeah, like there's obviously that your shit, and I want some of that. I want some of that pie.
And was there anything in terms of like self-trust or backing yourself that you feel like had to shift for you to jump at this, or were you ready and you just need to find the right personal strategy?
It was more along the lines of, I have to get out of my own head. I need to admit that I don't know everything. And I need to hand the reins to someone else. In this case, you, with business strategies, guidance, whatever sort of terminology people want to call it. It was very much and I've done it in the past with various VAs and various staff that I had working with me in the past. The hardest thing for me was letting go and trusting the process that somebody else has given me.
I feel like that's so not profound. I guess that's a bit over the top of a word, but I feel like that's so important to do. And it's such a like almost gut-wrenching leap sometimes. And the funny thing is, I find on the other side of that leap, like literally just on the other side of like, okay, I've paid a deposit, or like I've actually like committed to this. Even without, like before you even action anything or get inside the content, I feel like just the mentality shifts from like that moment. And I find that actually just like going all in, like taking the action and deciding it just shifts internally inside of me and you and whenever, we do things that are big and bold. And I feel like that's the catalyst that really helps the snowball.
Yeah. There's an old saying that one of my old course coaches, again, when I first did my Cert 3-4, it's stuck with me all these years, is shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. And that's the whole premise of why I jumped in so quickly. Like, what I'm doing isn't working, but hey, if I can add 50K to my bottom line, God, I'm in a better position now than I was.
Totally.
So I put food on the table.
Yeah. It was so interesting. I had someone like DM me the other day, like asking about coaching, and she was like, oh yeah, and I want one-on-one support. And I'm like, cool. Well, that's like going to cost you 5 figures, like at least at a starting point for like 3 to 6 months from anyone. And she was like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, babe, like I added $24,000 to someone's business in a 10-minute conversation. Like, imagine what I can do with you in 3 to 6 months. And so I just think that there are some people who understand that and are like, okay, I'm ready to go all in and I trust that. And there are other people who are still like tiptoeing or they're not fully committed. And I'm not saying everyone has that money to invest, and there are other options and things that you don't have to do that. But she wanted like one-on-one support and all of these things. And it's probably actually a good segue, because inside the Grow program, we don't have a ton of like solo one-to-one. There's a lot of hot seat coaching. There's a lot of like group stuff, and there's a lot of community support and ability to like message me, and I answer like any and every question. But like, was there anything about it being more of like a group format primarily outside of our like quarterly 90-day strategy sessions? Was there anything about that you felt like, oh, maybe this isn't what I need?
Kind of. Me personally, I've never been like a group sort of a person. I do prefer one-on-one, under the thumb type approaches. And yeah, I mean, like I was definitely concerned about that situation. But as soon as we got in and, we open up the floor and people start talking and asking questions, it kind of all got washed away, because you are taking the time to answer any sort of, I guess, roadblocks that we're dealing with at the time, albeit in a group scenario. The focus on the individual is still there. So that definitely put my mind at ease regarding
cool,
the group versus single one-on-ones.
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge thing that so many people have, like, are a bit like, maybe they've had this before and one-on-one's the thing that works for them, or they're looking for this sort of hand-holding approach. And like, to be clear, like, inside our program is absolutely not a hand-hold approach. Like, there are things booked in and like scheduled for you to come, but like, if you're running a business, like, you need to have some self-accountability,
You've got to do the work.
I will book the calls and I'll make sure that we come. But like, if someone does want sort of like an actual, like, I'm going to handhold you, I guess I kind of, I was on another onboarding call the other day, and I literally just like mapped out. I was like, here's your next 12 steps in order of what you need to do. Now go and execute. And she was like, oh my God, I feel so clear. I've got everything that I need. And like, that's what we do in our 90-day strategy calls.
That's it.
So I was like, you don't need, this is the thing. I think people think they need all this one-on-one time, but like, imagine if you could, as a personal trainer, get someone to their weight loss goal, and all you had to do was have a 15-minute conversation with them, maybe once a month, and they would get there in 3 months. Let's say, like, you could make that happen, and you just like 15 minutes a month, and you could make that happen in 3 months, versus like, I have to see you for 45 minutes 3 times a week. It's like, are you paying for the time? Like, what else could you do with that time? I think sometimes when we're looking at inputs rather than outputs, and it's the wrong approach when it comes to business, because was it you or someone else on our group call the other day who said like, I need to spend more time on the gym floor. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, I do. That was
That was
actually,
Brendan,
I agree. Brendan actually said it, but I agreed with him because I was doing the same thing.
Yeah, and he was like, I need to spend more time on the gym floor. I was like, for what purpose? And he was like, oh, well, like, I need to have more conversations. And I was like, for what purpose? And he's like, oh, well, then I book more initials. I was like, but initials is not the goal. Like, what's the goal? The goal is clients. The goal is dollars in the door, recurring revenue to set up the business that you love, right? So we work backwards from there. And I think that when you're so used to the inputs or the consistency, and sometimes you need that with habits in terms of posting on social media or like going to the gym and training yourself, right? But then when it comes to business, like, it doesn't matter if you spend 10 hours on the gym floor or 10 minutes if you get the same outcome. So that shift, I think, is really powerful too. But let's come back to, so you joined, felt a little bit nervous about it being like group only, but you still trusted the process. You saw the previous results. You got a great, you spoke to and had a recommendation from one of our students who's crushing it. Which is always obviously like reassuring and helpful as well. And we actually recommend, I don't know if you do this, but like, side note, you should definitely do this with any of your students who are or clients who are on the fence about signing up, is say like, hey, I'm going to get you in touch with Susie. Susie's been working with me for 6 months. She was really similar to you when she started. She felt really nervous too. I just want you to have a chat with her without me there. Like, here's her number. She's given me permission to give you this. Give her a call or like message her and just ask her about her experience. And I think that's one of the most powerful ways to get someone off the fence, is getting them to have a conversation without you there with someone else who's had great results in your program, and they can reassure, because so many people are like so close to making that jump and then their life fucking changing and like on its head in the best way possible. But perhaps sometimes I think if we're missing the mark, or if people are not yet convinced, I feel like that's a really incredible strategy that like you and anyone listening can take today and use. Have you done that before?
Not to that extent. I definitely use my current team as the examples, or even previous team as examples. And exactly that. But I just don't go down the route of, here's their number, give them a call.
Yeah, I would do that. If you have if you have clients who are obviously like, you vet it with them first and you check, but it can be so powerful. And also it's like, I don't want to be involved in this conversation, and I want, you know, you to give like your honest feedback as to how it's gone, and let them ask whatever they want. Because then people can just, I guess, have that reassurance that it's not just like you're great at sales and suck at actually doing your job. Because sometimes people, I think, can feel that, and they're like, I don't know, but obviously committing to one exercise session is not going to get me a result, so I need to commit to it, period. Same with business coaching. Yeah, cool. So once you jumped in, what were the pieces that were most impactful, or like the needle movers in your business that you implemented from starting working with the business planner?
The needle movers. I think I can't remember what session it was, but it was something along the lines of, "What are you committing to over the next 7 days?" No, that's what it was. It was the first time you mentioned the MITs.
Yes.
And it was like, yeah, this is what I have to do. This is the needle mover. And I mean, yeah, from business coaching in the past, I'm fully aware of, the whole analogy of the needle mover. But for you to say it then and there, it just brought everything back, and thought, yep, absolutely, I've got to get in and actually talk to people. I can sit at the front desk, I can say good day to everyone as much as I like, but unless I'm actually there hooking people in and having, as we said before, the outcome focus, nothing's going to change.
Totally. And I do think, like, just on that, I think you can sometimes get a little bit too obsessed or attached with the outcome. And at times I do actually get people to focus on the process, because sometimes you just do need to put in reps and just need to trust that will get some sort of result. But then I think when you transitioned into scale, which we'll talk about shortly, into our level 2 program and upgraded early, which is super impressive, and congratulations for that.
Thank you.
I feel like then we go, okay, like, we're not just putting in reps anymore. We're putting in intentional quality reps that are effective to get the outcome. So I just want to clarify that, like, process goals can be helpful. But at the end of the day, like, you can't just go to the gym forever and not lose any weight if that's your goal, and then be like, oh, that's not working. Like, obviously the outcome needs to be, or you need to be measuring and tracking your shit too.
You can't manipulate what you don't monitor.
Totally. So needle movers, the MIT. So just to clarify for everyone who doesn't know what that means, it's your most important task. I stole it from a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, I think. I will Google that in a second. One Thing by One Direction comes up. Let's try that again. Gary Keller. I nailed it. Okay, cool.
There you go.
The One Thing. The synopsis of that is, just fucking do one thing, and don't distracted focus, do multitask, but also having an MIT. And I just started like getting back into this myself today. Like, I do it all the time, but to just write that list of like, what is, like, if I only get one thing done. And the thing that you alluded to was like a needle mover. So what actually moves your business forward, not like checking my fucking emails and responding to like a couple of like likes on Instagram, right? Like, needle moving activity. Really important. Yeah.
Hooking people in. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, we can have as many conversations as we like, but it's actually to ask the question. Let's book in, or not even ask the question, but like, tell the person on the floor what they are going to do. Let's book in a session. Let's have a chat about these goals. Let's see where we can take you. It's not a would you like. It's very much and a lot of people are taking this more stereotypical human being, is they're very either very polite or very withheld, in that they don't necessarily know what to ask, or they think it might be inappropriate to ask, hey, do you do PT, coaching, physio, whatever it is. But for us to actually say that this is what's going to happen, and outlay the process of it to see where we can take that person, is what a lot of people need. It's not being rude, it's just getting into their right mindset and understanding that we are actually helping them. Yes, there is a financial cost involved, but if it's important to them, that financial cost is, what's the cost of health versus a
Staying
couple
stuck.
$100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think it's shifting from like would you like to like let's do this, and so it feels collaborative, like you're doing it with
Yeah.
them and you're being the guide or the leader in that sense of like, hey, I have the answers to the problem that you're facing right now, whether that's weight loss, building muscle, getting out of pain, whatever it is. It's like these are the steps, like let's take the
Yeah.
next step together. And to be fair, like there are absolutely some people who will say no, and they still have the ability
Yep.
to say no. But if you lead with such conviction and confidence, and instead of saying, oh, like, would you maybe, I don't know, want to come in and my schedule's fully free and I have like every available slot, it's like, let's book in. I've got Thursday at 4 or Friday at 2, which works better for you. Like just that sentence alone, I feel like helps you to lead the conversation and helps them to then, like, people want to give like the easiest possible like response to those things. So the
Exactly.
response is like pick one, right?
Remove the
So it makes it
roadblocks. That's all
easy.
we have to do.
Totally. And if someone says no, then you're not going to like force them to book in at the same time.
That's
But
right.
like it does.
It's
it
never
does
a
lead.
no, not ever. It's always a no, not now. So you
Totally.
can always just follow up, and if you end on good terms, that's cool.
Yeah, totally. What else were the needle movers, apart from like clarifying, like getting people booked in? So it was like getting on the gym floor, it was talking to the people. Was there anything else or anything that you feel like has created more like structural systems in your business that makes it feel a little bit more easy?
I think it's the guidance that I benefit a lot from. And I do need more systems. I'm at this level that we're at now. It does need a little bit more. My business needs a little bit more systematic approach. And we can automate a few things, which is what we're in the process of doing now. But at the time, it was more the guidance of starting to track what's your conversion rate, where are the, I guess, weak links in your chain, the whole client to sale, lead to sale process.
Yeah.
And just understanding your numbers. I think that was a big needle mover for me.
What specifically? Because I know we have like I'm a bit of a spreadsheet nerd when it comes to this sort of stuff to set up for you guys. Which of those trackers have you found most helpful?
It's I haven't used it to its full capacity, but it was the lead funnel and the processes of, I spoke to this many people, I had this many conversations, this many people booked in, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm definitely not a spreadsheet. I love a good spreadsheet, but I have no idea how to work them. So that's what I'm working on at the moment, is finding a process, like putting my own process on it through various software funnels and software pipelines and just all of that sort of stuff.
All the terms that people are listening probably going, what the fuck are those things? But that's totally fine, because if you are like in your first 12 months, or you are under $100,000 a year, then like funnels and things is probably not like the main focus for you. I think, like you mentioned before, we're starting the systems and automations now, but like if you don't have anything to systemize or automate, then it's kind of like putting the horse before the cart. And I feel like so many people are like, oh, I can't start my business. And you're like, why? Like, oh, well, I don't have an ABN. I was like, cool, that takes you 10 minutes. What's next? And they're like, oh, well, I don't have a logo. I was like, no one cares. What's next? Like, there's just, I don't have a website. I don't have and it's like, the most important thing to starting your business is like having a place where people can pay you, which is your bank account. Having your insurances, having an ABN, and then like make money. And like, I said, because businesses, like you can't have a business if it doesn't make money. You have a hobby. Like, I think that needs to be really clear. Like, we're not here to do shit for free forever. There are times when you can do shit for free, but like the purpose of your profitable business that's not a non-for-profit is to make money. And 100%. I think that we just need to like get rid of the fluff and all the, I need this beautiful thing, and what are my colors, and I don't have an Instagram, and I haven't, like, just fucking start having conversations with people and ask them if you can help them. It's I know it sounds
That's
really simplified. There's a little bit more to it, but like that's the premise. Give someone an offer that's far too good for them to refuse, and then over deliver on that offer, rinse and repeat.
basically, yeah. I had an amazing conversation actually just on, we're in business to make money. Just that term right there. I am advertising for a new coach, a new trainer to come and work under me, as you know. And I
Which is so
had a
exciting because you like
yeah,
for the
right.
guy who had 15 direct like debits like bounce on his account
Yeah,
like how many months ago? Like it was not that
yeah,
long,
like
right?
not even 6 months ago.
Wow.
It was full. But yeah, I had this conversation with this young lady, and she's, whilst admirable, she's there. She's got her own little group fitness classes that she's trying to get up, and she said, "I just want to help people." And admirable, but how many more people could you help if you were making decent money?
If you weren't worried about your like helping yourself and helping your family
Yeah,
put food on the table, I totally agree. And I think it's like it needs to not get misconstrued that like this is not a hungry for money and money, 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 but it's what can you do with that money
yeah,
is a conversation I have with people all the time. And like when you get to a position, and I feel so fucking fortunate that I am here, when you get to a position where you could literally not work for like, honestly, I could probably not work for 2 years easily and spend exactly what I'm spending. And I don't say this to be impressive. I say this to like just paint a picture of like the future for you really. Is that when you get to that position, it's like, now who do I actually want to help? How am I going to serve them? Because I'm not
yeah,
stressed about like, if I get another client, can I pay the bills or not? And so you maybe take on unaligned people, or you do things that you're like, oh, I wish I'd worked with that person instead. But like when you can get to that position, it just creates so much like weightlessness, and you feel like this freedom of like, what do I actually get to do now that I
yeah,
love it, and I can turn away people who are not aligned to where I want to be and get them to work with people who are like so much better for them as well, and like
yeah,
everybody wins. So good. So I want to come back.
yeah.
I want to come back to
Okay.
our lead to sale tracker.
Yeah,
I have it up in front of me. And I think this is a really powerful exercise we went through the other day with Brendan as well in our scale call, which is our second level program, which you've upgraded into. But all the content and stuff is available for Grow and Scale. It's just the level of conversations and the number of touch points and the one-on-one frequency and things that change for you, which is great. So what we did is that I think Brendan was like, okay, I want to be on the floor more. And then we sort of worked it back and we're like, okay, well, but you actually want like X number of more dollars or number of clients to get to full capacity. And we worked out that he wanted 8 sessions, and typically 8 sessions comes from about 5 clients. And so we went, okay, so we need 5 people to sign up, and we worked backwards. And I said to him, like, how many, like, what's your conversion rate from when people sit in front of you to how many of them sign up? And he was like, oh, about 85%. And so we worked out that that needs to be like 7.2 or whatever sales calls. So let's call it 8. And then how many would he need to book? Like how many people flake or how many people don't attend if they book in, working backwards. And he said, well, everyone attends. I was like, cool. So we're still at 8. And then we said, like, how many conversations do you need to have to get 8 people booked in? And so we worked out the percentage of that, because we have a spreadsheet that does the math for you. So back on the bit where you were like, oh, spreadsheet's not my thing. It's like, all you need to do is put in like the numbers of like, I had 3 people that I had conversations with. I had 6, like I had 1 sales call. I had 1 conversion. Like it's going to do the math for you and spit it out, which is really cool. So you don't need to be a whiz at this stuff to just see the data, which is really cool.
it is all done there.
It's so good. Oh my God. I don't know why someone didn't show me this sooner. But when I like figured it out, I was like, I need to, because I used to do that too. I used to just spend all the fucking time getting 10 new initial consults every single fucking week. And for me, retention was my challenge, where I got everyone in, I got people signed up, but they signed up for like 1 session or like 3 sessions, and then they left. And so we didn't have a recurring model, but very big side point. So then we worked out his 8 sales calls that he needed to have booked was actually, he needed to have, I think it was like 14 conversations, because about like 50-60% of those conversations would turn into people who wanted to have a sales call or an initial consult or a complimentary or whatever you want to call it, booked in with him. And then I was like, cool. Your goal is now not to just spend a random amount of time or more time on the gym floor, because I want you to go and fucking live your life and have some fun and like do things that you want to do and not just fucking be on the gym floor wandering around having these random conversations. You need to have 14 conversations. And so then we just like, it just flows down. And then we readjust. And if he needs less or more conversations to make that work. But I think it just creates so much clarity for people to see that rather than like a random amount. And obviously, if you don't have any data, you do need to start with the process of just like, let's just get some conversations going.
Let's just track it.
Yeah, track it from day one too. Like I was just like, oh, let's just do a random amount of things and get a random amount of outputs. And that fucking works, honestly, to get to $100,000 a year. Like it's actually not that hard when you like actually go after it. You go all in and you just fucking execute and you're having these conversations. It's not like, I think you realize that too, right? Like you were struggling and then you're like, oh, I just needed to like do the basic shit like regularly. And it's not actually as hard as I think it is.
No, that's 100% right. It was very much, to go back to the MITs and the initial needle mover. I was in a very similar situation. I was spending so long on the floor just talking to people. But as soon as I think I set my target in that 7 days or 14 days or whatever it was that we set as target. Let's talk in, I think I said 7 discovery calls.
Yeah.
And it took me an afternoon. Like the rest of the week, I didn't have to be on the gym floor.
So good. Oh my God.
It's not fucking hard. You set specific goals and easy.
Totally.
You go out and smash it.
And I think also when you have the frameworks or the I don't like to call them scripts because I don't like people to be robots, but if you have the framework or the strategy of like, this is how I would approach these conversations. This is how I get in with the person with the headphones on whose squat looks a bit shit, or like, the person who looks awkward in the corner, and like we navigate the things, because it can sound really easy and you're like, oh, okay, well, Jason Zenia also sounds super extroverted and that's not me. And I've had people like that recently too. And it's like,
no, I'm definitely not extroverted.
You're just comfortable at the moment. But yeah, it just, I think, takes the pressure off and it becomes just a process to follow rather than just like making this Mount Everest out of something that's really like a little anthill that you need to step over.
Basically, it's get out of your own way and just do it.
So good. Are you open to chatting about your financials?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Because I would love that, because I think sometimes that gives a little bit more like like solidness and like tangible outcomes for people. So how much were you bringing in, let's go per week or like whenever your things come in, when before we started working together? We'll go with that first.
My projections over 12 months, I think at my lowest or around 30,000, low 30,000s, call it 32, I think was my absolute lowest.
So we divide that by 52, that's $615 a week or thereabouts. And your rent's probably half of that, right? Not including subscriptions. Yeah. Okay, cool. And so it's been 6 months. We upgraded you into Scale early, which is our level 2 program. And just for anyone listening's sake, like the reason that I do that's like an invite only thing for people who are like flourishing in that. But if you are already at 6 figures, then the option is to sort of jump straight into that program. And so where are you at as your like annual revenue projection right now?
Right now, I believe I worked it out at $191,000.
Let's just clarify.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
Yeah, my jaw, if anyone's watching, my jaw just like dropped to the floor a little. A lot, I should say. So that's fucking insane.
I had a conversation with my partner this morning, yesterday, some stage over the last couple of days, that I don't know, if you watch this on repeat, it's we're looking at about 9 weeks till Christmas. So the goal for me now is add another 50 grand to the bottom line before Christmas.
I just fucking love the ambition, and I love the like you just got
It's
this
not
like
hard.
nothing can
It's
stop
yeah,
me. It's easy mental. And like to be fair,
it
it
really
is
is.
not easy. It is fucking hard work. It is consistency, but you've
Absolutely.
I think the things that I've really seen in you and admired, and one of the reasons why I was like, yo, you need to be in the next level group. Obviously, you're earning over the six figures by a long shot now as an annualized thing, which is fucking awesome. And for anyone listening, let's just do that divided by 52. That's $3,673 a week on average.
There's some good weeks in there.
Wow. That is fucking wild. And I feel like the most, like coming back to the start of this episode, the most like I don't know, like heart pulling part of what you said is just like I can drop some like thousands of dollars on a ring for the woman of my life. And like it it doesn't hurt me, it doesn't do anything, and I feel fucking great doing it, and you don't have to sacrifice or compromise on what that looks like oh,
Yeah.
I just want to like sit in
It's the
that for a
simple
minute
things though.
because
Yeah.
it's so fucking good. It's so oh, and I just think I want more people to get to a position like that in their life.
And even so, it's still not. It's still not. Yeah, like we're in a great position. But I guess that first milestone for me was to be able. I'm sitting here with a cup of coffee. To be able to buy a cup of coffee and not have to check my bank account, like $4.70 or whatever that is. That was the first turning point, and yeah, I did get emotional when I was able to do that, and now it's like, fuck yeah, how far can we take this? Let's
Oh
let's
my God.
buy a car with cash. I don't know.
I
Let's
love
do
it.
something. I don't know.
Oh, no, it's great. And I just think it creates like choice and
Yes.
opportunities. And I think that is the most powerful thing that money can do for us because it's just an exchange of
Yeah.
value. And before we had money, we had like exchanging my chickens for your sheep or
Yeah.
whatever it was back in the day, right? And it's like we've just now replaced those with dollars. So we all have a currency that's really easily exchangeable. And I think when we get back to that, as opposed to like, I feel icky charging more or money or whatever, it's like, how much value can you provide? And obviously, your clients believe that the value is great and it exceeds what you're delivering on. And so that's why
Absolutely.
you've made more money. It's not
Yeah.
because you're greedy or you've, just tripled your prices or you've done anything like that, but it's like making sure the value exchange feels in the favor of the client, but also allows you to do everything you want to do personally and professionally and then to
Yeah.
grow. So that's so cool. Fuck. All right, let's talk about what's next for you because I already feel all the warm fuzzies.
Okay.
But like we talked about systems and automations, which is like a little bit snooze fest to talk about, but important to do. But like,
Yeah.
we know that $500,000 is the goal. Where you're in the process of hiring an assistant coach. Where are you working towards? At the moment, you're in a gym. You're working like you're pretty much capped out, full capacity. Where are we going from here?
Well, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? What is next? And I think for me, it's get this coach on board, get them to a level of capacity, or at least 75%, however it looks at the time, and then outsource VAs, free up time, exchange, the physical workload for, I guess, push that off onto somebody else. And we talk about financial freedom and the exchange of dollars for choice. And that's very much it. That is the goal, to be able to say, pack your shit, let's go to Japan for the weekend or something like that. But yes, there are processes that we need to get to in order to get there. And step one is to get this coach on board, get them running at a reasonable income. And hopefully build from there. Maybe bring on a second coach. You and I will work together on how we actually structure it where it's, I dare say, a VA might be, thanks. We'll have a chat off there anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is. I don't know if that answered the question or not.
Yeah, well, it just sounds like you've got options, and that's cool, right? Like,
yeah.
I think some people are like, oh, well, if I don't know exactly the direction I'm going in, then like I can't get the support or whatever. It's like sometimes that's what creates the clarity in the strategy. And we haven't had any conversations since you've leveled up into scale one-on-one yet, which you get monthly now, which I'm keen for because we just get to like just fast track everything. So it's 30-day strategy sessions. But I definitely think that, yeah, you get to a position where you have more money than time. And so now you get to trade it back and you get to create time by paying money from all the dividends that you've earned in the past. And I think that people think you have to get to a certain level, or like, oh yeah, it must be great for Jace because he's on like, you know, $3,500 a week or whatever. But like, obviously there's expenses in there and there's other things as well. But I think the longer we wait to free up more of our time, our mental load, the harder it is for us to grow and to scale. And we won't, because we're afraid of losing control and no one can do it better than us. And there's all these things that come up. But I also think that's the next level in iteration. And if you stayed where you were right now, Jace, like you've built yourself a really highly paid job, you know, like, and that's great. But also the next level is to create that freedom of time. And if you want it, location as well. So I think those are probably the things to tick around in your brain and anyone else who's at that position where it's like, okay, what is next? Because, you know, I've done the whole coach in a facility and scaling that sort of stuff. I've done the whole outsourcing of VAs. I've done creating online courses and programs. And so I've got like all the different options. I've tried those and I figure out what works for me, but I can help you with whichever one feels right for you too.
Well, you said it yourself in that I've created, yes, it's well paying, but it is a job. And that's what I'm transitioning out of. And yes, we have to work on the business, but it's a career, and it's a career to, I guess, benefit my soon-to-be lifestyle. And you know, I don't want to be working in a job for the rest of my life. I don't think anybody does, but to create opportunity and a career, that is, I think, the underlying approach that a lot of people have when they undertake a business.
Totally.
So they never have to work a day in their life again.
Yeah, I think the fulfillment behind like really doing what you love, because the money is no longer like the thing that needs to fuel you or feed you, because you have that in excess. And then the lifestyle that you get to create, whether that's like, I want to work 40 hours a week in a physical location, cool, that is fine, right? Or you want to work, you know, 2 hours a day, and you want to have a really leveraged business model, and you want to have more of like, I guess, a quote unquote lifestyle or laptop business, that's also fine. It's just knowing yourself and where you want to go and creating that. And for me, like I think I said this on a call the other day, I don't know if you were there. I used to want to like rule the world and be like, you know, fucking had like this huge, like, I want to do all these things. And then I sort of sat back and I was like, those people who do that, and actually really topical. Do you know who Kerwin Ray is?
I think everybody in business knows who Kerwin Ray is.
Yeah. So do you know he died the other day?
Did he really?
Yeah. So a couple months ago, he had a heart attack on stage while he was doing a workshop, and he died like literally 3 days ago or something. And for me, that was like a bit of a shake up. And I've sort of been thinking about this recently before then, but for me, that was kind of like a bit of a catalyst the other day to be like, I don't want to, and I don't know if he did this, but like my assumption is like, what if he like worked himself so hard into the ground and had so much stress and created all this pressure that then he's like 50 something, I think, maybe not even, and just like die prematurely from all of that, rather than like you can create a level of wealth, success, and also like enjoy what you do. And like I want to hit the century, you know, like I want to be here for a while.
Yes.
So that's
it's no
where
point
I'm
putting all
aiming
this
for.
work in if we can't enjoy it.
Totally, totally. I've been talking to a couple other business owners too recently, and they're like, how can I have more fun in my business? And they're booking retreats with their students where they like go skydiving and they just like
Yeah.
just cool shit. And I'm like,
Yes.
fuck. I have goosebumps again. I'm like, fuck, how can I make what we do just more fun so I get to really enjoy life and it really doesn't feel like working,
Yeah.
but we also create fucking awesome impact in the lives of people.
And it's tax expense.
Yeah. Yes. Not a bad side note. Yeah, cool. Okay, last question. If
Yeah.
there was someone who was maybe like listening to this and they're like still on the fence about signing up to the Biz Academy program, what would you say to them?
Just fucking do it. It's
The classic Jason approach.
yeah. Yeah, you've heard the story. I was not in a good position financially. I could not afford it at that time. If it's, there's accountability, there's systems, there's all the tools available, but even if it's the fear of, fuck, if I don't get these clients, I'm not going to make a house payment or whatever it is, just do it. One of the best investments you will ever make.
The Nike slogan. I feel like we'll finish on that. And and if anyone wants to find you or maybe like have a chat with you, where can they find more about your business or maybe have a chat about this program?
Yeah, my business Instagram's probably the easiest way. Adrenaline Performance Coaching, all one word. Or my personal Insta, Jason Gent _coaching. We're open to a lot of things. This is probably the easiest way to get in touch with me as far as just a general chat goes.
Cool. Amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for
My
spending the
pleasure.
time. I really appreciate it. And I am so fucking glad for you that you've like literally turned your life around in the last 6 months. And I just,
Yeah.
it's so great to see so many of our coaches thriving and kicking goals and just like, I don't know if you thought you were going to be here 6 months ago, but like
I've got more.
you've done really well. So you should be really fucking proud of yourself.
Thank you. I am, and I couldn't have done it without obviously the referral from Zaid, but without the guidance from not just yourself, but all of the other amazing coaches and physios and exercises and everyone else in the program. It's just the best thing that I could have done.
And I'm so proud of our community. I feel like there's so much give back from everyone in there and feedback and support.
Yes.
And I just feel like they're a wealth of knowledge now too. So even having them on your team I think has been great. So
it really is. There's no take at all. It's all good. I do love our group. It's amazing.
Amazing. All right. I'm going to go feel all my gooey feels after that. And I will see you on our call later this week.
Sounds great.
Amazing. Bye, Jace.
Latest.
Just a quick reminder before you go, that link is waiting for you in the show notes if you are a health coach who is in business looking to grow or scale. We have options for both, and I am super excited to be working with a few individuals next year who are ready to take their business to the next level. If that sounds like you, chuck down and have a look at the show notes and you can apply through there, and I will talk to you one-on-one and we can figure out if this is right for you. I cannot wait to chat. I have a tiny favor to ask of you, and that is to just hit that subscribe button if you have not done it yet. If you've made it this far, then I hope that this has been valuable for you and for us to get more incredible guests in front of your earlobes and faces. If you're watching us on YouTube, then please do that now. And if you have any feedback or suggestions for me or something that was a golden nugget that really stood out to you in this episode, I would absolutely love if you flicked me a message over on Instagram at Xenia Wood Official. Until next episode, and in whatever you do, move swiftly.